All right, everybody, welcome to Story Time. This is my first time doing this. I'm Joseph Ryder. You're probably wondering, who are you and why are you talking to me? So, welcome to our first episode ever. And I guess a little bit about myself. Been a product manager for quite a while now in quite a few different industries, and it's nice. You get to learn a lot about different things, and you start to see the differences between things and how things are common, especially when you're working with software, which is what I do. And what you learn that's interesting, at least I think so, is that at the end of the day, you're moving information, you're making decisions, and you're really trying to create value for your customers and for your company. Simple. So, with that said, we call this story time, or I'm calling this story time. It's me. And I think what I'd like to try to do with this is something I find that happens all the time in my job. People will want to talk to me about something, and I'll send information ahead of time. And inevitably, first thing I'll ask in a discussion about something is, has anyone read this yet? And everyone kind of has that awkward pause, silence. Okay, so let's read it. It's story time. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to start out with some articles I've written in the past and kind of talk through them and start layering in some new content from things I'm learning. Right now, I'm a director of products at Edible Arrangements, so it's a pretty cool gig. It's a new industry for me, certainly food, and franchising is a whole different challenge. You're working with customers who are e-commerce customers, who's you, me, anyone who wants to buy something, as well as really your franchisees are your customers too. And at the end of the day, we're both trying to make money. A company that makes franchise products like Edible and markets them and really develops them, as well as franchisees. They want to make a living, they want to build their wealth, and we have a lot of overlap in our goals. And so, my job is to make sure that all of our customers are awesome, and that's what I try to do. So with that, I'm going to read an article that I wrote quite a while ago that's pretty meaningful to me. I called it Giving Up Control Over Outcomes. And this was really inspired because I see a lot of young product owners and up and coming product managers really, really deeply worry about, what if people interpret things the wrong way? What if it's not the right thing to do? What if someone has, an idea of their own and it's not great, right? And I've always thought that the biggest arbiter of what is right and wrong are customers, right? They vote with their feet. At the end of the day, everyone in your company can be high-fiving and celebrating, saying, "We did it! We created customer value." And your customers are like, "Awesome! You built this really great thing that doesn't do anything for me. I got other problems. You don't understand mine." So this was one of the things that I've noticed over my career is that really there's this anxiety that people have about what can go wrong with limited resources and time. And to me, if you treat each day as a discovery, each thing that you build is an opportunity to learn and to get closer to reality of what is going to help your customers, then you're going in the right direction. And you just have to keep that mindset. So this is where this article came from. Does the common user story format describe a designed outcome for a customer? I suspect that product leaders are leaving team creativity and value on the table when writing user stories this way. They are controlling possible outcomes rather than describing the problems to solve. Consider the classic user story example from Mike Cohn, right? See what picture forms in your mind. He gives the example, as a user, I can indicate folders not to back up so that my backup drive isn't filled up with things I don't need saved. The format used is the classic as some type of user, I want some goal so that some reason or benefit. The user benefit is so that my backup drive isn't filled up with things I don't need saved, right? But Cohn describes the goal as, I can indicate folders not to back up. Indicating folders not to back up is really a possible design choice or an outcome from the product leader to solve a problem that is implied in the benefit. The problem seems to be no control over what is being backed up, or digging deeper, the backup solution doesn't know what is important to you, right? Will the team creatively solve this problem or just create a way to indicate folders to exclude from a backup? I think we all know the answer to that. When you tend to tell people exactly what to do, they feel they have to do that. So if a product leader can accept that the development team is actually a team of bright problem solvers, then the creativity of an entire team instead of just one product leader can be unleashed to create efficient, simple to maintain solutions to problems. You guys have probably all seen that quote from Steve Jobs. It doesn't make sense to hire smart people and tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do. That's the whole point, right? So now if we treated stories as experiments, how do product leaders give up control over outcomes and user stories and focus on describing problems? The Agile Manifesto is going to encourage us to value customer collaboration over contract negotiation and to responding to change over following a plan. Joshua Karyevsky's Modern Agile guides us to experiment and learn rapidly. Eric Ries, the Lean startup, calls for validated learning that can be, quote, validated scientifically by running experiments that allow entrepreneurs to test each element of our vision. So if we think about that, user stories are opportunities for real-world feedback and validated learning that help us to change course or pivot, as Ries puts it, toward the best solution to a customer's problem. These are experiments, of course, and they should be treated accordingly. So how do we treat stories as experiments? Well, testable statements. Experiments have a hypothesis, right? A useful hypothesis, a testable statement, which may include a prediction. While scientifically formalized hypotheses call for a testable proposed relationship, an if, and an expected result, a then, a user story should describe the relationship of an expected benefit for a customer if a specific problem is solved. So, what if we turn this around a little bit? If a specific problem is solved, then some customer will get some incremental benefit. That's a testable statement, right? So if we apply this to Cohn's example, we could rewrite it as something like this. If a backup solution knows what's important to keep, then the user's backup drive won't be filled up with things they don't need saved. Writing a user story this way gives control of the design outcome to the team and opens up a larger pool of possible solutions. The value of working with a team of engineers and empowering them to do what they do best will decentralize the risk of getting it wrong and will spread ownership of the solution to the whole team. When the team solves the problem, they build greater empathy for the needs of their customer, and that value grows over time. So if you test as far as testing your stories go, it's an experiment. So how can the team do that? So the team can test them to determine if they solve the problem for the customer. Does the backup solution know what's important or not? You can prove that, right? You can test it objectively and actually figure it out, right? You can have several users put together and check it out, right? The team should also test if, by solving this problem, they've created the benefit for the customer that they expected to. So this is even easier to test. Is the user's backup drive free of things they don't need saved? They can check. Does it fill up anyway and we miss the real problem? Why do we need a backup drive at all? These are the kinds of questions, right? These are the conversations to have with a customer during a demo as a team conducts a real-world experiment to prove or disprove that relationship of solving a problem to generating a customer benefit. So what you can see is a really subtle change in user stories can yield significant benefits with a team's happiness and sense of ownership and open more options for solutions. When a user describes a design outcome, a product leader should dig deeper with the customer until they find a testable problem to solve. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, that's someone else's line. But I do want to give a special shout out to Rob Gordick, who's been one of my mentors, for support while thinking through and writing this article, and to Mike Cohn, the authors of the Agile Manifesto, Josh Karyevsky, and Eric Ries for really being a big influence in my viewpoints in Agile and entrepreneurship. So with that, I really thank you for joining me for story time. This is my first time doing it, so if you have any feedback for me, please leave it in the comments. And if you like it, please share with a friend, and we can have more stories. Thank you. See you next time.